Please put your palms together and let us recite. Homage to the fundamental teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. Homage to the fundamental teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. Homage to the fundamental teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. Verses of opening of the Dharma. The unsurpassable, profound, and wondrous Dharma is difficult to encounter even in hundreds of millions of kalpas. Now I see it, hear it, receive it, and uphold it. I vow to understand the true meaning of the Tathagata. Hi, everyone. Our last lecture was 3 months ago, on September the 8th, and that's when I finished explaining chapter 2. And just to give you a quick summary, what you're seeing now is the structure of the book Path to Buddhahood. And chapter 1 was about taking refuge and revering the triple gem. And chapter 2 is hearing the Dharma to enter the path. Okay, so these two are basically an entry to the Dharma gate. Okay, and now we are moving into chapter 3, which deals with the first and most basic and fundamental teachings of the Buddha, common to the 5 vehicles, right? And in chapter 4 would be Dharma common to 3 vehicles. And chapter 5 would be Dharma unique to the great vehicle. And today we will start with Dharma common to 5 vehicles, right? And just to give you an idea of chapter 3, which I already provided last time, we will be covering the theory or principle and the practice of Dharma common to the 5 vehicles. And then we'll be talking about the correct conviction in the triple gem, and then right livelihood, right views or view, the mundane one, and then has 4 points to it: good and evil, karma and consequence, past and future lives, and ordinary and noble. And the transmigration in the 5 destinies. First, we will be covering the bad destinies and then talk about the good destinies. And as practice or a method, we will explain how suffering comes from bad or evil actions, and happiness comes from good or wholesome actions. And then the 3 meritorious actions, or the and 6 remembrances or 6 recollections, and as well as the method of Maitreya. And having the theory and having practice accordingly, then you get the fruit, the result. And then we'll cover desire to be human and be born human, cultivating merits without desiring to be divine or to be reborn in the celestial realms, and the desire to be born in the time of the Buddha. And last but not least, the rebirth in the heaven of Tusita. So that will be a brief summary of chapter 3. Let's get into the text. The Path to Buddhahood, chapter 3. This chapter is called the Dharma common to the five vehicles. Which five? Celestial, human, or sometimes we list it as human, celestial, Sravaka, Pratyeka Buddha, and Bodhisattva. Basically, is what's common to all the vehicles that lead toward wholesomeness or benevolence, right? And the text reads, generating the mind of improving one's own life and practicing regular methods to be reborn in the human and celestial realms. It is the basic level on the path of Buddha Dharma. So basic level meaning like the most common, fundamental, right? Basic level. This is also the foundation of the noble, transcending Dharma. Therefore, it is called the Dharma common to the five vehicles. Okay. The basic level, the fundamental, meaning what is the basic need of a human being? And if we have to narrow everything down to one word, it would be happiness. We like to be happy. So in this basic level of the on the path of Buddha Dharma, then we're seeking for happiness, mundane happiness, perhaps, right? But even though it's mundane, it is still the foundation of the noble transmundane Dharma. Meaning, if you don't even achieve or understand the cause and effect, the karma and consequence of this the Dharma common to the five vehicles, how can you possibly uh, hope to practice or fathom uh, the path to liberation or even the Bodhisattva's path in helping beings, right? It's almost like you say, oh, I I don't care for the mundane. I'm beyond the mundane happiness. I'm just going to go straight to the liberation. I won't construct the foundation of my building. I'll just go straight to the second floor and then the third floor. Well, good luck with that. Continuing, this means that when practicing the noble transmundane dharma of the three vehicles, which is the path of liberation, even if you are not seeking the human celestial retributions, it is impossible not to possess the human celestial merits. Meaning, if you have a very solid foundation and you build upwards, then you will have the necessary merits to uh, help you or enhance or facilitate your practice of the three vehicles. Then how do you know that? It's very simple. If you aspire uh, to liberate or to liberation or aspire towards bodhisattva path, but you cannot still feed yourself, you still having the basic problems of sustenance, of getting by, meeting the necessary in everyday life, that's very clear. The foundation is not strong enough. It's not solid, right? Of course, some people who have merits but they don't know the right methods of converting their merits into mundane resources. That's because they lack intelligence. Not necessarily wisdom, but they lack intelligence. They don't know what they're good at in order to facilitate them to come by the so-called the mundane resources that is necessary for Dharma practice. Okay. If, however, the human or celestial realm is sought as the goal, then it is called the human vehicle and the celestial vehicle. And in Buddhism, it is called the Dharma common to the world. And then here, Master Yinshun, the author, he gives examples with religions that he's more familiar with, and that also in Taiwan, right? And then, for example, Confucianism is related to the human vehicle. Taoism, Catholicism, Islam, the idea is to transcend and be reborn in the heavenly realms, right? So they are connected to the celestial vehicle. Since most worldly doctrines allow reaching the goal of being reborn in the human or celestial realms, why then should people who seek human or celestial rebirth take refuge in the Triple Gem and practice the Dharma common to the five vehicle as described in Buddhism by the Buddha? Okay, so this is a question that he poses, right? If this is common to the major religions, right, then why particularly practice this Dharma common to the five vehicles, this human celestial vehicle, according to Buddhism? Why? And in Buddhism, it is never said that those who seek human and celestial rebirth must take refuge in the Triple Gem and must practice the human celestial vehicle of Buddhism. We don't do that. We actually allow people these choices. If somebody wants to practice Buddhism at the level of the five vehicles, they're more than welcome to. And then even if they decide not to take refuge, even if they decide not to adapt the path to Buddhahood as their path, right? They can still learn all the things that will bring them mundane happiness, right? As taught by the Buddha. But what would that be? What would be the difference, right? So this is the question, the nagging question. You don't know. I've told you many times before that I consider a lot of agnostics, like super educated, studious, smart, ethical people. They consider themselves agnostic because they don't want to be associated with any religion. And then I call them closet Buddhist, right? Eventually, when they really, really delve into Buddhism, they know this Buddha Dharma is the way, right? But before that, like with some kind of like hesitation or even a little bit of arrogance, they say, no, no, I'll just practice, but I don't need to take refuge in the Triple Gem. I don't need to adopt the way of the Buddha, right? It's in its entirety, right? So Master Yinshun explained. However, if you take refuge in the Triple Gem and practice the Dharma common to the five vehicles, not only, clearly here it says, not only would it be safer for you, safer. In what way? Safer is that cause and effect, dependent arising, the karmic rule of the universe so clearly that it's safe for you from falling into the evil realms of suffering. But you will also what? Have entered the great gate of the Buddha vehicle. Meaning you enter through this door, through the triple gem, taking refuge, abiding by the precept, and then which is according to the five vehicles, then you are destined. You are paving your way towards the great gate of the Buddha vehicle and entered Buddhahood. That's why you have to take refuge. That's why you have to abide by the Buddha, his teachings, and the community of disciples that are instructors, right? So as long as you transcend and advance, you can then enter directly into the transcendent Dharma. Meaning the five vehicles, the Dharma common to the five vehicles is still talking about the mundane Dharma, but mundane in the sense of benevolent, the good, the wholesome Dharma, but it's still not transcendent. But if you do not start with the right compass and in the right direction, it's very easy to just fall off and then just well, fall into the three realms of suffering, evil destinies. But on the contrary, if someone believes in other religions, okay, now he's saying that what is the danger of someone says, well, yeah, I like Buddhism, and it's great, but I don't have to take refuge in the Triple Gem. I don't really have to adopt this as my way of living, right? And then if someone believes in other religions, and they go, yeah, I'll dabble in a little bit of each. In my altar, I'll have one Jesus Christ, Mary, Ave Maria, and then well, I'll have. I'm thinking of other religions. Um, like some kind of representation from the Hinduism, like all the religion, and you put all these deities. They think of them as deities and saints or enlightened beings, and put it all on the altar and go, yes, I'll just follow something along this way. What would be the problem? What's the danger? So here it says, even if they can be reborn in the human or celestial realms, they will not have accumulated good conditions with the triple gem. Basically, you are not resonating with the frequency of the triple gem, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the truth of impermanence, the understanding of existence as suffering and non-self, or even less, sunyata. And they will also have developed, oh, this is a big one, okay? Unnecessary stubbornness, or what we call religious prejudices that block entry into the great path of the transcendent Dharma. Whoa, block entry. I see it all the time. I see it with people listening to cause and effect, dependent arising, or even they really enjoy loving kindness. Loving kindness. But loving kindness in a mundane way, not in the true Buddhist transcendent way. Because they're still attached to this idea of a theistic entity which is contrary to the law of cause and effect. And because of that, when they hear the Dharma, they can only hear maybe the precept, but precept to a certain level, very, very basic. Oh, don't kill, don't kill. Yeah, but animals. They were created for us to eat, right? And um, stealing, well, it's all very, very iffy. Sometimes what I consider right, other people consider wrong. What I consider wrong, other people consider right. It's not really stealing. It's just a way of survival. Like they will actually find loopholes in all the precepts, which is contrary to cause and effect, because they have developed certain prejudice or stubbornness. Okay, that I would say that's majority of people. Now, if you're listening to me and giving this lecture, explaining this, the words of Master Yinshun, you have not gotten mad, shut off, and then it ran off, and really, really upset at what I said, what does that mean? It means this is not the first time you hear the Dharma. You've heard this before. You have been in contact with the Triple Gem. You have taken refuge. You have practiced the precept. And then you have tried many lifetimes to have access to the right Dharma, to the so-called right view. Because this is not foreign to you. This is something's calling you. It's going, hey, this makes sense. Okay, so therefore, even if seeking rebirth in the human and celestial realms, taking refuge in the Triple Gem and practicing Buddha Dharma is much better than believing in other religions. Okay, so let me remind you that this book, all the lectures inside this book and all the stanzas were given by a prominent Buddhist master, Master Yinshun. And he's Buddhist and he's a monastic. So, of course, to him, Triple Gem, Buddha Dharma is the best, according to him. And then I would agree with that. And you don't have to agree with that, of course. And let's continue exploring. So, stanza 29. One who has the right conviction and has taken refuge in the Triple Gem should cultivate the right view and practice the right livelihood. Thus, transcending and advancing will not be difficult. Okay, so here I want to clarify that when we say right view, and the Chinese will be 正见 or 正知见. Sometimes we can do it like we can say it in singular form, like right view, as in all the right views, right? Like as in generalization, right view, and then or when we go into specific, and we go the right views. All right, so it could be singular or plural. It's okay. Yeah. So let's go into the explanation of stanza 29. One who has the right conviction in the Triple Gem and has taken refuge becomes a disciple of the Buddha, a devotee of Buddhism. Where should a disciple of the Buddha who practices and studies the common Dharma or the Dharma common of the five vehicles, where should they begin? Okay, so there's the understanding part and the practice. Okay, so from the understanding of Buddhist learning, training, one should start with the cultivation of the right view. Like, know correctly, the right compass, pointing in the right direction, the true north. And as for the practice of Buddhist learning, one should begin with the cultivation of the right livelihood. So basically, one is the right view, and then as practice, like basically because you have to roll up your sleeves and make a living, then it is a cultivation of the right livelihood. The Buddha said, rare are those with right view and right livelihood. Imagine that. The Buddha said, rare are those with right view and right livelihood. If we succeed in cultivating and practicing these two aspects, then transcending and advancing will also not be difficult. And advancing towards where? Towards Buddhahood. If advancing in the cultivation of the transmundane Dharma is not so difficult, what to say of seeking rebirth in the human and celestial realms? Right? So basically, um, how do we start? We start with right view and right livelihood. And then that will point us towards the direction of the transcendent or transmundane transcendent. These are synonyms. It's not difficult. And that means that it already includes the rebirth in the human and celestial realms as a result. Okay. So, so what is right view? Let's go into it. Right view means having a correct understanding. Vision and knowledge are different. Okay, so here he's trying to make a clear distinction. What is vision and what is knowledge? And then vision is also right vision, right view. Okay, these are synonyms. Vision is a firm standpoint that comes from deduction, right? You know certain rules that are true and you deduce certain ideas, certain truth, right? And thus, the right view is choosing the benevolent and firmly maintaining it. Okay, so choosing what is benevolent, what is wholesome, what is good, and firmly, unwaveringly maintaining it. That is right view. To learn the Buddha Dharma, it is necessary to have the right view. Just like starting a journey, before beginning, one should have the correct understanding of the journey and be convinced that this is the right path to reach the destination. It is when you enter into your Google Maps or Apple Maps, the right address. If you enter the wrong address, you're never going to get to the right destination. Just like starting a journey, before beginning, one should have the correct understanding of the journey and be convinced that this is the right path to reach the destination. So, using the analogy of the digital maps, that means that you look and you put in the right address, right? I'm going to Deep Cove, let's say, right? And then you look at, okay, the directions, you study the directions, right? Oh, okay. Step one, I go there. How many kilometers? Step two, step three, step four, step five. And so these steps are what we're doing when we're learning the Dharma. We're trying to learn about the path, right? The sequence, the sequential order of how to get to that ultimate destination, Buddhahood. Knowing, we're here, continuing here. Knowing the correct does not necessarily become the right view. Well, we all know that. You can know a lot of stuff, but you cannot practice any of it, right? Oh, I know it's wrong, but I couldn't help it, right? Knowing the correct doesn't not necessarily become the right view, or like you make that correct thing and let it seep into you, like into your marrow. Okay, and so here he gives an example. We now know, okay, 21st century, we know that the Earth revolves around the sun. Well, okay, I could be wrong about this. There are flat earthers out there. People believe that the Earth is flat. I'm sorry about that. Um, but I'm assuming none of you are a flat earther. Please. Okay. So we know that the Earth revolves around the sun, right? And this is knowledge. We all know through science, through telescope observations. But because of this knowledge, in the 16th century, the astronomer Galileo Galilei, when he discovered it, he drew it and then really angered whom? The church. The church said everything revolved around the earth in the 16th century. But Galileo Galilei, he was not afraid of being persecuted because he was a true scientist, true astronomer. And then he was sent to jail by the Christian church, and he was told to retract his discovery and then redraw the constellation with Earth being the center in order to avoid death. Did he? Did he submit? No, because he had vision, the right view. Therefore, we must apply the correct knowledge, practice it constantly, and firmly develop the right view. So there is this journey to turn the right understanding into right view. Like, this is you. No one can take it away from you. You can die for that right view, but lifetime after lifetime, you will not fall into the evil realms. And that is the conviction that we are looking for in our practice. So the right conviction in the Triple Gem is not to be taken lightly. The right view consists of both mundane and transmundane correct views. So right views, there are two types, mundane and transmundane. You can also translate it as worldly and otherworldly, or transcendent. Okay, mundane and transcendent. These are all correct translations. Right? In the common Dharma of the five vehicles, or in the Dharma common to the five vehicles, the views are still mundane. But even though they are mundane, they are very powerful, firm, and unmovable perspectives. As the sutra says, and this is referring to the Agama Sutra, if someone possesses superior right views, that person will not fall into the lower realms, the evil realms, for hundreds of thousands of lives, because they have the right conviction, possessing the superior right views. Okay, so this is like almost like a summary of the two, right view and right livelihood. Now we go into this more specific. What is the right livelihood? Right. Livelihood refers to staying alive, which is survival and living. Right. And what is the difference between survival and living? I notice a lot of people nowadays are surviving. Surviving is, imagine you are in the ocean and you're drinking water, you are like drowning, and then that's surviving. And then you go down again. And living, it's staying afloat. You're on a boat, you're something, you are like, out of the water, and you are able to breathe easily, right? But livelihood, it could be survival or living. I hope it's living for you guys because survival is merely survival, surviving every day. Oh, I survived the week. I wish for the weekend to come. And you're surviving. But if every day is Monday, Monday is Sunday, Tuesday is Sunday, right? Every day is weekend. There's no difference, and you are enjoying you because of your understanding of right livelihood and your and the wisdom you're able to live. Okay, here and it goes whether we are laity or monastics, we all have to live. Legally obtaining all the economic necessities of life, such as clothing, food, housing, transportation, etc., is the definition of right livelihood. So obtaining the economic necessity of life, right? That is right livelihood. Having a life with a legitimate source of income is very important because most transgressions are due to a life with an illicit source of income. Basically, people who scramble, who have to sell drugs, like do things like shady things, dark things, in order to just scramble, right? And then they commit transgressions, right? They want to come by quick cash. That is not right livelihood. That is scrambling. And then for lay Buddhist, livelihood not only must be followed by the law of the country, but also must not go against the Buddha Dharma. For example, livelihoods involving killing, or like butcher, hunter, etc., or stealing, improper sexual conduct, prostituting oneself, being a brothel owner, etc., lying, either through deception, fraud, scamming, and intoxicants, producing alcohol or being a bar owner, etc., or even selling alcohol wholesale. These are considered against the Vinaya and the precepts in the Buddha Dharma. These are wrong livelihoods as opposed to right livelihood, and they obstruct advancement in the Buddha Dharma, in spiritual practice. And for monastics, living off the offerings donated by devotees is the right livelihood, as established by the Buddha in the Vinaya. Wrong livelihood would be if they practice medicine, okay, except as a voluntary service, right? It's like they take on a job, right? And then perform fortune telling, reading people's palms, face, bone, whatever, astrology, face reading, palmistry, etc., or set up traps to deceive people, devotees. Right? So if monastics were to do that, that would be wrong livelihood. Right livelihood means that the economic source should be in accordance with the Dharma. And the attitude towards consuming resources is neither indulgent nor stingy. Okay? It's very important because if it's neither indulgent, right, like spending, buying, accumulating, neither indulgent nor stingy, it's like not just frugal, it's like really stingy, not generous, and even a bit how do we call it? Taking advantage of people. That'll be the two extremes. And right in the middle, it's according to the Dharma. Right? In as far as consuming resources is concerned. And they have so many examples, whether for lay Buddhists or for monastics. Right? I can give a lot of examples, but I don't want to bore you with that. No, I think they're too strong to be explained. Okay, maybe in the Q&A, I can give some example. I've got a lot of funny examples. Yeah, I'm saving that for my Buddhist stand-up comedy. Okay, in this way, it is possible to live according to the Buddha Dharma. Otherwise, there is no guarantee of rebirth as a human in the next life, not to mention liberation from samsara. So, right livelihood is very important. The way you produce resources, or let's think of like your merits, from your past lives of practice. This is like positive energy, and this is like invisible, right? You have merits, and then livelihood is the right way of converting all these invisible energy, positive energy, into resources that will sustain your life. So that will help you live, not just survive, to help you live. And then you can help people through this conversion of merits into mundane resources. Right? So when learning the Buddha Dharma, one should pursue a profession in accordance with the Dharma. It is preferable to suffer temporarily due to a change of profession than to prolong a wrong livelihood that harms oneself and others. And this is a decision that only a person with right conviction would do. Meaning, before they got into that profession, that trade, that livelihood, they did not know better. Once they find out, oh, this is not correct, this is actually against the practice as expounded by the Buddha, or it's not in accordance with the Dharma, then one having right conviction will change profession rather than justify and say, "Oh, I did not know. Yeah, but I'm already in this profession and he's making lots of money, and then I'm really living very well. Then it's okay." Then that's wrong conviction, wrong understanding. Okay. Continuing, so that was right livelihood. We got that out of the way, and there could be a lot of questions, a lot of things to discuss, right? We'll continue with right views now. Stanza 30. The mentioned right views are the correct observation of human life. So what are the right views mentioned above? From the perspective of the human realm, it is the correct understanding of human life. That is, the correct observation of human life. Correct perspective. Observing the meaning of human life and the correct path that one should follow, and transforming the correct observation into an unwavering vision. This is exactly right view. Unwavering, cannot be wavered. The vision is clear, absolute clarity. That is right view. In terms of learning the Buddha Dharma, right view is of the utmost importance, akin to the rudder of a boat. The Buddha said, right view, especially for lay devotees, is extremely rare to obtain. There he goes, another rare thing to obtain. So consider this way. If you are in a profession that is right view, according to right view, and right livelihood, right? And then you know how to live life and see life, observe life according to the Dharma, that is extremely rare to obtain. And that's why we need to explore the true meaning or the criteria of right views. And here I remember in the past when I started learning Buddhism when I was 14-year-old, and then I remember mom would have a lot of um like very wise monks and nuns at home come home and then talk to us and stuff like that. And then one of the thing is in one of those, well, actually we say not one, many of those lectures, and then someone would say, "Sifu, how do we practice?" And then Sifu said, "You have to have the right view, right?" And then the right view, having right view uh is the right way to practice. And in civil, what is the right view? Right view is the view that I tell you. That is right view. So this master, this one person says one right view, the other person that's right view, and this right view. As soon, I I remember at age 14 to even up to 18, I was hearing many different kinds of right views, but nobody really outlined the right views clearly. I would say that my first time was when I read The Path to Buddhahood in Chinese, and I go, what? Right views is not just what the teacher says, what the master says, it's actually the Buddha actually says what are the right views. So let's get into it. For example, there are people who have sincere belief in the Triple Gem. They're kind, they're generous, patient, they understand the Buddhist theory well, and seem to be exemplary Buddhist disciples. Okay, so Master Yinshun is giving examples based on his observation during his time back in 1950, 60 in Taiwan, in Hong Kong. And then he said, however, okay, like that person seems very nice, and when they're young, they're healthy. Wow, they are great practitioners. However, when they reach old age, some of them listen to nonsense about nutritional issues. Oh, you should not eat this. Oh, you are anemic. You are this. You lack animal protein. And then even after vegetarian for many decades, they end up breaking the precept of not killing. They just decide, oh no, yeah. When I was a beginner, I was vegan or vegetarian, and now I'm much more advanced, and I'm older. So my doctor says I need to eat animal products. Like in the case of like animal meat. Okay, yeah, I won't eat red meat. I'll just eat chicken, and they try to justify that. Another kind of person. There are those who are shaken by chronic diseases and cannot fully recover for a period, and then seek help from spirits, divination, mediums, or deities, trying anything, asking here, asking there, and they pay big money. you know, Please read my fortune. How come I have this chronic disease? What happened to me? How do I get rid of this? How do I become more this is the only thing that is troubling me. Take this away. And then they go into all these non-Buddhist ways of looking for answers, trying anything. And as long as they can pay, they'll keep going. There's another type. There are those who are in poor economic situation and then seek wealthy spirits. Oh, which mantra, which spirit I should recite, right, to win the lottery, right? And they'll go to spirit temples, temples that worship spirits, deities, okay, to ask for lucky number to be revealed in a dream. And there are some people who practice and diligently maintain the precept, but when they grow old, due to their attachment to this mortal body, they turn to non-Buddhist masters to cultivate qi, the vital energy. They go to someone also always paying big money so that they will just cure you, right? So one thing, have you noticed something is very common? After you're born, and then there's aging, sickness, and that fear of death. It doesn't matter when how diligently you practice. If you don't have the right view, and then your health, your age is taking its toll, you will result to anything, any religion, any practice, as long as you can pay for it, or as long as someone is willing to sell it to you, you would try it. So all these people lack right view and have not developed firm and unwavering conviction. They have not developed that. They practice when they were healthy, like with their so-called internal health, well, internal wealth. Well, internal wealth is health and youth, okay? Young energy, vital energy. And the external wealth is resources, time, right? Help from people. So they may have those when they were practicing in their younger years. And then, and they always say, yeah. So often I hear them say, oh, Sifu, Buddhism is so easy. Huh? I just stumble into it. Everything's easy. Oh, I don't worry about money. I'm healthy. You know. And then they say that when they are 40, 50, 60, 70, even 70. And then something happens, something changes. They have a loss of wealth, loss of health, loss of loved ones that they are attached to. Buddha Dharma out the window. That there's no right view. There's no right conviction. It is faith due to favorable conditions. Oh yeah, Buddhism, Dharma, practice, everything's so easy. Not as far as I know. It's a struggle. All these people lack right view and have not developed firm and unwavering conviction. For this reason, when their health and circumstances become unfavorable, they waver and change their view. For those learning the Dharma, it is better to postpone the discourse on achieving liberation, enlightenment, awakening, the jhanas, the concentration, absorption, and start with, and in baby steps, developing the right view. It's so important because once you have the right view, your compass, it's pointing to the true north towards Buddhahood and what is the right Dharma, what is according to the Dharma. And you will not be easily swayed by unfavorable, unlucky, unfortunate circumstances. Anyways, there's only 5 minutes left, and I kind of want to leave the existence of good and evil for the next lecture because I want to devote sufficient time to all the four aspects of the right views, mundane right views. Okay, and so we'll stop here. But I want to show you a tool. I want to show you Notebook LM. It's by Google, and I have chapter 3 all put in, and then I can have audio overview, video overview, mind map, reports, flashcards, and the quiz. I'm going to quiz you guys at the end of this chapter. And I'll show you. And then the infographics. Look at this. All the major headlines, subtitles of this chapter 3, all in here, in this. The foundation of the path, right view and meritorious actions, practice, discipline, practicing generosity, discipline, concentration, and everything outlined here. Right? Don't worry, I'll share all this with you. But I encourage all of you to make use of Notebook LM, and then I want to show you here the mind map. Yeah. The Dharma common to the 5 vehicles, significance and foundation, right? Poof, it gives you that. This is for you to memorize, okay? Eventually, all this in your head. And then right views and right livelihood. Okay, here, see? And then these two, and then right views. What are the right views? Oh, correct understanding. And what are the types? Mundane and transmundane, superior right views, prevent falling to the lower realms, right? And then right livelihood, right? You go back, and then the mundane right view. What are there? There are 4 categories, which we'll cover next lecture. It will be Monday. Monday, and it's going to be after our Monday meditation at Elizabeth Street. So it will be starting at 6:30. Okay. So good and evil, karma and consequence, past and future lives, and ordinary and noble people. Right? These are the 4 mundane right views. Right? As described in the Agamas and also the Mahayana Sutras. Anyhow, so let us transfer the merits from today's practice, the lecture. Remember, if you hear all this up to this point and you feel very comfortable and you feel like, this makes sense, boy, you are not hearing this for the first time. You have had access in past lives. Let's read together. Transference of merits. I wish to eradicate the 3 obstructions and all defilements. I wish to attain wisdom and true understanding. I wish that all calamities and obstacles be universally extinguished. I shall constantly practice the Bodhisattva path, life after life. Namo.